Welcome to Sports Federation TV, the show where we chat about all codes of sport who are members of the Western Cape Provincial Sport Confederation. My name is Alton Davids. We're chatting to Lexi the Toy. Lexi, how are you?
I'm good. I'm happy to be here.
Lexi is part of a sport called equestrian sport. And for many of you who don't understand equestrian sport, it's anything to do with a horse. And equestrian sport is divided into a range of different categories. Lexi, do you know all of them?
There are so many, but I'm competing in eventing. And there's show jumping, there's dressage, there's endurance, there's gymnastics, there's all sorts of things for horses that you can do. There's showing, equitation. I could go on forever.
So what is eventing? Give us the lowdown of what's eventing.
Eventing is it incorporates 3 disciplines in one. So it's one discipline called eventing, but inside of it, it's a 2-day event, which is you do dressage, show jumping, and cross country over 2 days. And then you accumulate a penalty score and the person over the 3 phases. And the person that has the combination horse and rider that has the lowest penalty score at the end of the weekend is the overall winner. So the more you do wrong, the more penalties you get, and you would rather be on a lower score than a higher score.
And you're compelled to use the same horse for the entire period, for the entire competition?
Yes, it's a combination. So you need to do your dressage. That's why it's so hard to find a horse that is able to do all the disciplines. You need an all-rounder horse that will be able to do controlled dressage, go crazy in the cross country, and just have the absolute bravery to jump anything that is placed in front of it, and the trust between you and the horse. And then it needs that stamina and that carefulness just to jump that show jumping track at the end of the day after a brutal cross country track. And they just need that stamina and carefulness at the end to finish it up.
How do you build that relationship with the horse? Let's start there, because that's always an interesting dynamic for me. I mean, it's animal versus human, and now you've got to build that bridge. How often do you spend time with this horse?
So I've had my horse since 2013, end of 2013, so 6 years now we've been together, and it's taken a long time for us to start clicking. There's been many shows when things have gone horribly wrong, and it just takes time and perseverance to push through and build a bond with the horse. Instead of fighting with your horse, you need to work through problems, because fighting is never going to get you anywhere. You need to actually form a basis where you both are on the same level and work through things like that, and not to give up, because that is the worst thing you could do with a horse, is that when they get the better of you, then they think they can do it all the time.
Yeah. And how old is your horse?
He's turning 15 this year, so he's getting on. Age is ticking against me at the moment, but we are at the highest level of eventing currently, and he's in his prime for it. He's going really well. Not much wear and tear for a horse of his age and what he's done, so we're actually very impressed by that. So he's still going strong, but there's always maintenance now because of the high level he's competing at and his age.
Yeah. So does a horse age the same as a dog? For every 1 year, there's 5 years, or how does it work? So you're saying that the horse is 15, so is it 15 calendar years, or how does?
I don't think there's a ratio where you times it to get to human years. But usually horses can live to like 30, depending on how you look after them, and depending how hardy they are.
Yeah.
But usually they start competing. They can still compete until they're 20 years old. There was a horse in my class in the 3-star eventing champs last year who was 19, turning 20, still going strong, clearing the course, doing very well. My horse was 14. Yeah, they can go as long as you look after them well. They can go for a while. But I would say retirement around 21, 22, depending. You just judge it how the horse is going.
So take me through the different components and the preparation you would do with, because now you've got this horse that you need to do showing, you need to do cross country, and you need to do jumping.
Yes.
How would you prepare the horse to be able to have that, to be able to transition amongst the 3?
So you need a horse that is level-headed. It can know when to reserve itself and calm down, and also depends on you and your emotional state, because if you're feeling stressed, the horse will pick up on it. So you need to actually have a calm competition mind when you're at a show, and if something happens, you need to be able to deal with it calmly, because a horse will sense your any anxiety or nerves that you may have. So you need to be calm at a competition, but when it comes to cross-country, the adrenaline is what you need. Because if you're going to go into a cross-country course with no adrenaline, not being scared or a little bit anxious of your course, then you're a bit crazy, because you need that adrenaline to make you react fast on track, because
For
things
sure.
can happen in a split second.
And it's not a slow meander, it's a gallop.
Exactly.
Ideally, it's meant to be a gallop.
520, 550 meters per minute
Yeah.
pace. And you got about, in my height, which is 3-star, you've got about 4 kilometers of track and about maximum 35 jumping efforts. And you've got to be awake for all of those. And you've probably got about 6.5 minutes to do all of this. Whereas at the top level, they go for about 12 minutes.
Sure.
So I'm 2 levels below the top. So you get 5-star, which is what they do overseas at badminton, and it's that's the top level. So Olympics is 4-star, so almost there.
Almost there. Where do you typically do these competitions? Because I mean, you got to have a venue that can cater for all 3 disciplines.
Yeah. So now this is the problem with the Western Cape, is that we just don't have the space for 3-star events. So they only go up to 2-star in the Western Cape. They just don't have the track space or the jumps, and it's just, so it's quite frustrating to have to travel all the way up to Joburg or Durban to go and do those 3-star tracks, because they have the space and the officials and everything up there that can do those tracks. So it's financially very straining to travel for upcountry for your shows, especially now because at 3-star, I'm going to have to travel this year. I moved up to 3-star last year, so it's all quite new to me having to travel. It's just expensive.
And for those of you who didn't know, horses need a passport to travel.
Yes, they do.
Right, Lexi?
And movement certificates, because there's African horse sickness in South Africa. And that is awful, because we have to quarantine if we go up country. So even if I go to Joburg, it's not just a quick weekend, you know. It's 2 weeks after that, my horse has to stand in George before he can enter the Western Cape, to make sure that he doesn't have African horse sickness.
But you can go transition straight through, or do you still have to quarantine before you move out?
No, you can go straight up to Joburg, but coming back, because Western Cape is considered a free zone. So we've got a very hectic rigmarole about making sure that horses don't come here with African horse sickness, which is very good. So it means that we are a free zone. But it's frustrating when you want to compete and you have to keep your horse fit, and your horse is standing in George for 2 weeks.
How often do you ride your horse?
At my level, I have to keep him really fit as well as myself. So I try and ride every single day. But I am studying in Stellenbosch, and I live in Noordhoek. My family is in Noordhoek. So I travel back for the weekends back home to Noordhoek, so I don't ride on the weekends. But I do ride Monday to Friday, and it's quite difficult to fit it all in with a degree. And also keeping myself fit, going to gym, social things as well, obviously.
Full life you lead, eh?
It's very difficult to keep riding in it, but if you have a passion for it, it's actually not that difficult. And if you want something done, give it to a busy person. So I make sure that I have time for it, because it is my whole life. I love it.
As the national champ, what has it changed you in any way? And how would you motivate me to participate in your sport?
So I don't think it's changed me as a person, because I'm very humble about my sport, because you could just have a bad day and your competition can go terribly. Your horse could be having a good day and then you win the competition. You can go from absolute disaster to success over just a couple hours. So it definitely does keep me humble. I mean, I fell off another horse yesterday. So I mean, if I can go and jump a 3-star track and then, you know, go and ride another horse and come off, it shows you the ups and downs you can never expect. So I don't think I will never get cocky with this sport.
Lexi, thank you very much. All the best.
Thank you.
With your studies, more importantly, because at the end of horse racing, you still need to have a career.
Well, I actually go and I'll risk my tests for a horse show.
Oh my gosh.
Fly back, write the test, fly there for,
Typical a sports person.
Yeah,
always driving and
addicted
pushing.
to the sport.
Absolutely. All the best. See you soon.
Thanks for having me.
You're welcome. Let's take an ad break, and when we come back, we'll be chatting ladies baseball. See you now.